Good evening, everybody. This is a meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals with respect to 728 Randolph Avenue. Just real quick recap on events since our last meeting in March. We've received several documents, some emails between Tim Cherwinski and Chief Madden, revised waiver list, draft decision from Judy Barrett, which is redlined with the applicant's changes, and some revised construction sequencing documents, which I would like to hear from the applicant on. Maybe I'll, I think on our agenda tonight is at least to go through the waivers. I think I want to put it to my fellow board members if they feel ready to go through the draft decision. I'll admit I haven't taken a look at it yet, and I certainly haven't looked at the waivers. I see Mr. Gray shaking his head. I assume that we'd like the opportunity.
We just got it today, and frankly, my computer burped in the middle of trying to transition it to being saved. So actually, I can't find it at the moment. I'm looking for it.
Okay. All right. So, Mr. Freeman, I'm afraid we're going to have to postpone that to a subsequent meeting if that works for you. I mean, do we?
Yeah, I certainly, we are where we are. I certainly understand that. I can't have a gripe with that. I think I was able to read it thoroughly, which is why there were revisions, but I absolutely respect what you said. The waivers, though, I think we can go through because, we sent that my revisions based on the previous hearing where my colleague Stephanie Kiefer was there, not me, and that I sent in a week ago. So hopefully we can go through that, but I do understand, and, I guess you can wait till the end. If we could get the next hearing to go over the decision sooner rather than later, of course, we would appreciate it, but no, I understand.
Okay, so I think that means we'll leave the evidence portion of this hearing open until the next hearing. And so, Mr. Freeman, let me ask you, I mean, I have questions about the construction sequencing document as well as the emails from Chief Madden. Do you want to address those first before we get into the waivers?
Sure, happy for our team to do it. I'll simply defer to Rob. Do you want to go over the construction sequencing? And then the email, either Rob or Tim, my understanding from the emails from the chief is that he's satisfied with the access for the access road, as well as the project, which we had already gone over. But Rob, do you want to start with the construction sequencing?
So basically, we just clarified a little bit the major tasks for the project. I can run through if you want. That's fine, I guess. So the first task is to install the erosion control barriers, construction entrance, and temporary construction fencing. That's the first task. The second task would be to do the clearing, grubbing for the building and parking lot areas, the site. The third would be stripping the loom and stockpiling
at designated stockpile areas. Mr. Celebrity, if I could interrupt you for a second. When you turn your head away from your computer, your audio cuts out, so we can't really hear what you're saying.
Okay.
Well, just one other quick thing, if it might be helpful to the board. Deb or Rob, I don't know if you could pull up that sheet C61 and show the top where it lists the things that you're going over in the notes.
I can add it. I have it up.
So the third task is, like I said, to
Great.
strip the.
How's that?
That's
Great.
good.
So the third task would be the stripping of the loom and stockpiling. And if the stockpiles get excessive, we would haul it off site. The fourth task is the excavation and ledge removal for the building only. The fifth task would be the installation of the building foundation and infiltration systems. And these tasks obviously coincide with our conversations with the fire department. We had some conversation, just to go off task a little bit. I had conversations along with Tim with the fire department, whether the access road was permissible and being able to use as a fire access during construction, and he agreed to it. So it's a 24-foot wide paved road, and they use that access for the there's multiple facilities, there's the golf course, there's the take station, which is the gas state, in the rear, Metro Grid uses it, Eversource uses it. There's many entities now use it for emergency fire access right now. So the fifth, like I said, the fifth task is to install the building foundations and the infiltration system. The sixth task is to install the access road and building utilities from Randolph Ave, including the fire hydrant and charging the fire hydrant so it's working. The fire chief said that you only will permit the wood framing unless that the fire hydrant is working. And then the seventh task, it would be for the rough framing, complete the building exterior envelope task. Item 8 is to grade the access road, install the binder. 9, to grade the parking lot, install the binder. 10 would be to install the landscaping and site improvements. 11, complete the building interior. And the final task is to remove the temporary fencing and erosion controls once the site's stabilized. That's pretty much it. You have any questions?
I don't have any questions. Mr. Mullen, Mr. Gray?
No questions. I don't have any questions. No, thank you.
Just curious if the fire department's access will be maintained for the other things that use the access road during the construction. Is that possible, or is that necessary?
Oh yeah. So the fire access will be maintained. Yeah. So say we're digging a trench or whatever, and the fire department needs access. We'll have to plate it, and they'll be able to go by, stuff like that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
The fire chief mentioned that he wanted some trees trimmed, wanted some leaves cleaned up, stuff like that. So we'll just, I'll have a walkthrough with the fire chief to make sure that we're on board, on the same page for all the cleanup.
The emails with the fire chief reference some potholes and things like that. I mean, the idea is that the road will remain in its current condition throughout the wood framing part of the construction?
Well, prior to doing any work, we'll have to temporarily fix the potholes, clean off all the debris, and there's a couple logs or whatever, trim some trees, and then I'll have a walkthrough with the fire chief. He'll review it, make sure he's okay with it, then we can proceed with using that road. He wants that addressed before we do anything.
I guess what I'm getting at is it's going to be concrete or some kind of, it's going to be passable for the fire trucks while the building is being built, right?
Right. It is right now. It's paved. It's asphalt. So there's just some potholes that need to be filled.
Okay. And what about the drive? Are we talking about the access road or the driveway? Where does the paving of the driveway from the access road fall into all this?
Mr. Brown, I assume you mean the where the access road turns into the site itself?
Yes.
Yeah. Rob, go ahead.
Sure. So this is all our discussions was all with the fire chief was the access road.
So,
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ms. Keller.
I was going to say, I would imagine that driveway to the site coming from the access road up into the garage or the parking lot would be constructed during item 9, which is grade parking lot, install binder. Is that correct, Rob?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we'll have that rough graded, so it's passed prior to that, once we backfill the foundations. But at that point, at that point in item number 8 is when we install. Item number 9 actually is that when we install the binder.
So my recollection is that during the last meeting, there was a great deal of discussion about what level of construction that driveway area had to be while the wood framing was going up. And Tetra Tech's concern was that if wood framing is going up, it's subject to potential fire, and that the driveway should be built up to binder course so that the fire trucks can access it if necessary. Did you discuss any of that? And we kind of left that as an open issue, I think. Maybe I'm misremembering, but I think it was still open, and that we were going to try to get the fire chief to weigh in on it. And did your conversations include anything about that road, about that?
Yeah,
driveway?
so I discussed the entire site, not just the road, the parking lot, the entire site. So they would, for them, when they need to address a fire from that property, from the access road, because that's where the hydrant is. So they would, tie into the hydrant and go in that way. So he said as long as it was the whole issue was utilizing the access road as a temporary fire access. And Tetra Tech didn't feel that was usable, but the fire department, I sent him pictures, he did a site visit, and the fire chief again said that it is permissible as long as the potholes are fixed. Then we trimmed some trees. So the that's where that's.
Okay, no, I know, and I think what you're referring to is the access road. But what I'm asking about, and maybe I'm misremembering this, but what I'm asking about is the driveway up to the building from the access road. Was that discussed? And if so, what did the chief say?
So the entire site was discussed, and he would address the fire from the access road where the hydrant is, and he didn't foresee any issues with not having that it's fully paved or anything like that. He just said as long as the access road is maintained and he gets access from that side, that's how they would hit the fire from that side. There was other issue, there's other things that they're going to require a temporary, fire alarm system, stuff like that. But that's along with, when you file for the building permit, they'll ask for those submissions.
Hey, Tim, are you on this call and available to weigh in here? So my concern is that.
Yeah, Mike, I'm here.
Okay. Hey, do you have any word from Chief Madden on this specific issue that we discussed during the last hearing? And I'm sorry to keep harping on it, but I feel like it was very important to Sean that we address this and resolve it. And I don't think it's resolved yet. I haven't seen anything from the chief.
So Rob is characterizing things the way that I would characterize things. And the email that we have from Chief Madden from March 22nd, where he says, I looked over the road this morning and find no real issues, talking about cleaning it up. We can get written clarity on this very specific issue of, making that connection between the access road and the site. But what I can tell you is that my conversations with the chief indicate to me that he does not think that there would be a problem responding to an emergency situation at this site if all of the standard construction practices that are typical of projects like this are followed. But if it's written confirmation about that kind of connection between the access road and the site, that's important to kind of seal up the record on this, we can certainly get that.
I have no reason to doubt you, and I have no reason to doubt Mr. Celeberti, but it's still unresolved in my mind. And since Sean felt so strongly about it, and since he's our expert on this matter, I'd like to get something more specific from the chief, if that's possible, before the next meeting, Tim.
Yeah, I'll make a note to do that, and we'll get that for the next hearing for sure.
Okay, thank you. All right. I think those addressed the questions that I had. Do any of the other board members have any questions before we proceed to the waivers?
Nope.
Can we talk a little bit about how the Concom is going to work? There was something on that.
Right. So I think Tim had presented a question to the Concom about whose responsibility it would be to pursue the notice of intent. And the Concom responded by saying that traditionally it would be up to the applicant to go through that process.
Yeah.
Mr. Freeman, does that match with your understanding?
I believe so. I think that's the way I crafted the revisions to the waivers.
Okay.
Naturally, which is just based on the State Wetlands Protection Act, the town has to also sign on as the owner. But I think that was relayed to me after the last hearing. So yes.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense to me too.
Thank you.
All right, so we've got the revised waiver list. And I think, Mr. Freeman, your revisions are redlined in the copy that I have. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so, I don't know the best way to go through this. I'm happy to share the document that I have on my screen and we can make changes as we go.
I think that makes sense. And obviously, hopefully we can perfect them tonight, but since we do have to have one more hearing, we can finalize it in the final red line version, probably next time show what's already been accepted. And if there are any other further changes, that will appear in some redlining. So that's fine.
Okay. All right, let me see if I can share this. Are you guys seeing the revised waivers here?
Yes, it's black background and white text. The red line doesn't start till page 3, I don't think. So I don't know if the red line's showing yet. Yeah, it is. I can see March 30th. The date is showing on the left. Can you do it in the one view? That might be easier for everybody. One page view instead of 2.
There we go.
Great, thanks.
Sorry for my black background here.
It's readable, at least for me.
All right. Okay. So number 3. Is this a revision from our last meeting, or is it a revision from the beginning of this whole hearing process?
That looks like from the last meeting based on the conversation we had.
That's
Okay.
Yes, that's correct. Nothing has changed on the building the way it's been all the way along, but apparently we hadn't calculated based on the average grade, so that's the way it's measured now.
Okay. And again, I took really good notes on my own copy during the last hearing, but I don't have it here to compare. So we'll just have to go through this as best we remember. So for number 3, I accepted these changes because I think that they reflect what we discussed last time. Any objections to that?
No.
Number 4.
This one, I'd be interested to hear from Mr. Freeman. What is the thinking? You think, notwithstanding the fact there's been a frontage, there's a variance, you want to make sure that you don't need one? Is that the thinking?
Yeah. It was exactly. It was just for the sake of clarity, but it was, in fact, I think it was Ms. McKettrick pointed out the existing variance from years ago. So I thought it would be crystal clear by also adding that reference.
Yeah. I wonder if we should say something like to the extent required. Would that be an objection to the extent required, comma, the applicant requests?
That's fine with me. I have no problem with that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Any objections to number 4?
No.
No.
Looks like the numbering, by the way, so we can fix it for next time. It looks like the numbering somehow stopped going sequentially, because it looks like on mine, at least, it was another number 4, although maybe it's 5. I'm not sure. No, I don't know. In any case, we'll get the numbers straight.
Yeah, we can fix the numbering. Let's go by whatever number is on this version here. So this will be number 5. Any objections?
No, those are good changes, I think.
Number 6.
Same. Yeah.
Okay.
Number 8.
Is that the phrase in the bylaw, open space?
Believe so.
Okay, okay. Mhm.
Good on number 10.
Yeah,
I think so, Nick. I don't know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
12B.
Okay.
I can't remember what we talked about with this one last time, but this is okay.
Well, yeah, I think we're kind of really relying on the engineering of the road and the fact that it's a built road and it's really hard to get the planning board rules in here. So and it's pretty broad, but I think that's right. I think that's probably the best way to deal with it, just so that you don't have a little problem that you can't solve, you know? I mean, the road is what it is, and the applicant has, as we'd request, talked to the fire chief, so that seems right.
Right, and it's all in the plans.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. I agree
Okay.
with that.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I don't know about that one. What is it thinking on this one? It is
Well,
going to, isn't it?
Well, oh, I'm sorry. Do you want me to answer through the chair?
Yes, please.
Yeah. The last sentence maybe should have been first because it says the applicant will file a notice of intent with the Conservation Commission under the State Wetlands Protection Act with regard to the access road, which is what you just inquired about earlier. Then as to the local rules and regulations, as with other things on some of the technical things, although I don't think that there's any objectionable substance. I believe we had discussed this with Sean Reardon. And so we're simply saying, as with everything under the comprehensive permit process, we don't need to go to the Conservation Commission under the local bylaw. And we're asking, for a waiver to the extent it applies to certain buffer.
That should say local requirement then, right?
Oh, sure. That's fine if I didn't say that. That was
Well,
my
limited, I like the idea of moving that third paragraph to the top to make it clear that you're applying.
Yep.
That's a good idea. And then I would say local only requirement or something like that. Local only requirement,
Very helpful. I agree with those edits. Thanks.
Tim, you should weigh in if you don't like the way that this is structured.
No, I think that's fine.
Yeah.
Obviously the state law is unwaivable. And I think just making absolutely clear that we're just talking about the local bylaws is the right way to go.
Makes sense. All right. This was another hot one last time.
He's okay.
This is okay.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know where we ended up on the fees.
Yeah, I thought that I saw something in the email from.
We hadn't done it in other jobs.
Right. And
I think we have waived fees or no, yeah, we haven't waived fees. That's right.
Right.
I believe I sent around the typical language in the previous approvals
You did.
that said
Yeah.
you basically, yeah, there wasn't any fee waiver.
All right, so
I wouldn't support the fee waiver. I mean, I understand that this is a little bit different, given the fact that this is a new connection and other people may benefit, but it doesn't seem that there's a particular rationale here to waive that fee, and I don't see support for that. So
I agree.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I certainly understand. I'll just ask quickly, is there any appetite for waiving them for only the accessible units? Because in this project, that's 10 units out of the 40.
Not particularly.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I don't know.
I think the bigger problem we have is we've established a precedent. This is our last 40B after, I don't know, 8 or 9 of them. It just doesn't seem, seems like we've got the town's got its policy on this matter.
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that Tim sent something around. I'm not sure if I got it, but you know, that's fine. If that's what's happened, I do understand.
Thank you, Tim, for that homework.
Okay, so otherwise, with that last paragraph removed, this one is okay?
Yeah, you probably want to change the title too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the connections are still going to be subject to the design and construction review process, right? There's pretty standard language in the template form. So it's the approval to connect that we're waiving, not the connection itself.
Yeah, I believe what we've said, yes, to repeat, as I understand what you just said, yes, you're granting the approval to connect to the water and sewer, but I believe we've said, I know we've said that we will comply with the technical requirements.
Yeah, thank you.
In the draft decision, although jumping ahead, but I you know, for next hearing, but I can tell you in advance that we did strike something that Judy put in, which said that we need as a condition to get approval or approval from the water and sewer folks as to the capacity, but we've already been through that. But that's just a heads up for when you go through the decision. But and Rob's chime in if I'm wrong, but I do believe that the way we crafted it, we said that we would comply with the technical requirements.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we're all, we're at this stage here. We should know by now whether we have capacity.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, no, that's on the capacity, but in terms of how you build the pipes and the sizes and all that stuff,
right.
Yeah,
that's fine. But we did all the flow tests and all that other stuff. So inspections, engineering, that's all done. Peer review. So.
Mr. Chair, I would make the same changes you made to E to F and G. Just recommend that.
Otherwise, E, F, and G are okay?
I think so. Nick?
Yeah, okay.
It's okay to me.
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we've gone through the waivers.
That's great.
great.
Okay. So I think the only remaining order of business is to hear back from the chief in the next meeting, hopefully, and close evidence, vote, and go through the draft decision. Mr. Freeman, anything else to add before we conclude?
Nope, I agree. Thank you for what we did tonight. And I do understand about the need for the next hearing.
Thank you for your understanding. Julia, can you work with us to maybe identify a date that we can hold our next meeting?
Yes. Were you looking for sometime in April, or how long do you need to move it?
Yeah, I think if we could get it done in April, that would be great. I know I'm out all of next week, but the following week would work for me.
Okay.
Frankly, yeah, that's right.
I think the 25th or 26th is open, or the 27th.
I'd prefer the 26th, but I can do any of those.
The 26th, I'm not available. 25th.
I'm not really available on that day either. Sorry.
Actually, that week, the 25th, I think, is the only night I'm available. Or Monday.
25th.
Monday, there is a ZBA meeting at 7 already scheduled. But the 25th is open if that works for everyone.
Can do
Works
that.
for me.
An election day in Milton?
It is.
It is. Yeah.
I mean, it's fine with me to meet, but I know sometimes we don't meet on days like that.
If you need to push it to the first week of May, any of those days are open.
The first week of May, I have some conflicts. I mean, if it's a town policy that you can't meet on an election day, I would understand, but
I don't know that. I don't know that. I don't know. I just raised, and we don't meet on town meeting days.
Yes, yep.
So I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, you don't need the facility though, since we're still doing it Zoom, so.
Tim, do you have a view on that?
I know that the angle that I come at it from is usually you want to be able to facilitate attendance at the meeting and also voting. So you try not to have those meetings. I don't know if there is an actual policy or bylaw or anything. So I unfortunately don't have a ton of clarity there. If you can stall, I can try to look it up.
Why don't we tentatively plan for the 25th, but let's get a backup date the week of the 1st. And we can check to make sure that we can do the 25th.
Sure, I appreciate that. Good idea.
So Julia, well, I guess, is there any time during the week of May 1st that works better or doesn't work for anybody?
Out of state on the 3rd.
The 2nd is just about the only day that works that week for me.
I can make that work.
2nd is okay.
Okay, so let's tentatively plan for the 25th. But if for some reason it turns out that won't work for the town, then we'll do the 2nd.
Great.
Sounds good.
Julie,
Okay.
could you send invites around?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
And Tim, are you gonna be the one to figure out if that's gonna be a problem? Sorry to nominate you, but I don't know who else. All right, I'll email Tim separately. All right, and with that, I think we have a plan. Thank you all for your patience, and we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you guys.
Good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care. Good night. Thank you.